right, welcome, guys, to this podcast. We're discussing how the education system has treated us here in the UK. My name is Mo Nor Beats. If you want to find me on Twitter, please, guys, introduce yourselves.
What's up? Ahlan wa sahlan. My name is Abshir. Close friends like to call me Junior. From Camden. Alberto.
Mr. Marlon.
Hello. Hey, name is Muallin from Camden also. I think everyone's from Camden. Yeah, welcome to the show. First ever show.
That's it. So we'll go through what is it? Primary school experience, secondary school experience, and then we'll talk about higher education, college, uni, and what have you. Let's start off with primary school. Anyone got anything interesting or experience primary school that they want to share?
Well, there's a lot, bro. I don't know where to start.
Let me start.
Let's go,
The good, the bad, and the ugly. So
Let me start. Yeah. So when I first came into the country, innit, there was remember I could not speak one word of English. One word of English. I had no clue. And the teacher, my first day of school, the teacher came and told me to write my name. And this is about when I'm about 7 years. So I came to the country when I'm about seven, 8. I can't remember around that time. And then she said, yeah, she gave me a piece of paper. She said, write your name and your age on the paper, innit? Bro, I had no clue what the hell she said. I just started, I started, I started drawing, bro. I started drawing bare pictures.
I had a similar experience as well.
Yeah,
Very
go
similar. But I remember till today because the only reason I remember, I was in year three, and the whole day I was being asked the same question. And I didn't know the answer to the question until I got home. So
on.
from the morning till like you go in at 9 o'clock until I went home at like 3 or 4. So I went to my uncle and I said, what does I said to him, what's your name mean? Where we do? I said, what's your name? How I? So they spent like 6 hours asking me, yeah, what's your name? I didn't know what it meant. So a lot of the students they thought I was deaf because I
Oh
wasn't
my.
responding. So my first day in school was everyone thought I was in mute, and I remember some of them were trying to use sign language, and I was like even more confused. So, yeah, the first day, especially us, because we come from families where we don't speak English anyway, and no one really prepares you for anything. The teachers don't know you, and also like I don't know about you, I was the only Somali in that class, so I didn't really have anyone to go to for translation or bring you or welcome you in. So it was very difficult.
Yeah,
Funny as well. I
yeah,
remember.
yeah. Yeah, those days I remember like when I had to do like after this was I moved schools after I've learned a little bit of English. We moved to Hackney because we first moved into Finsbury Park. That's where the teacher asked me, write down your name. But
What
after
school
like
did you go? What school did you go?
I can't even remember the primary school in Finsbury Park, but I remember the one in Hackney was called Orchard Primary School, and I remember when I went to that one, and then they had to introduce yourself, and then they asked me where you from in it, and I
Mm.
remember I said yeah, I'm from Somalia, and this black boy started laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing for, bro? I have everyone is, and he goes, and then he
Why
put like he put like what they call it in English. He put like I don't know how to say it in English, but like
grudge?
Uqdad.
Oh.
No.
that, like what is it about Somalia? Like what's wrong with Somalia in my head? As a kid, I'm thinking, what's wrong with Somalia, bro? Why are they laughing
Um,
so hard for?
yeah,
So yeah,
I
like
had that experience as well.
it was mad. I remember Orchard Primary School.
Yeah.
Me, I guess it's so I came I was pretty young. Um so I think I was in nursery, right? So the earliest memory that I have is good ones, to be honest. It was okay. Early 90s. There weren't a lot of Somali people, right?
No.
So I think I was probably the only Somali in nursery. But it was very diverse. So Camden, the beautiful thing about Camden is that it's always been pretty diverse. But the earliest memory I do have is all of us in the canteen area, and we've got our knife and we have our fork, and we're banging on the table. We're saying, "We want dinner. We want dinner." We That's the earliest memory I have of school. Like it's crazy, demanding food, which not much has changed. Like, I'm so hungry. No, but yeah, that's the earliest memory I have, to be honest, of school. But primary school was really good. I went to a Church of England school. Um, I
Church
was
of England.
in my class. Yeah, yeah. You know, like every other Friday, we would go to the church. So
Really?
yeah,
Juma. Was it Juma in
Jum'ah,
your
bro.
church?
Jum'ah, they will take us to Knesset, bro. La ilaha illallah. So many mad
On
things
the,
used to happen, bro. So check this,
on
right?
the,
So, and I'm not gonna Somaliland here, right? So, هاي like the gays abshir. يعني قالها markay saas dhahaan, yeah, markay saas dhahaan,
Yeah.
adiga gacanta fur markaad duceyso. Adiga gacanta way xilaan, adiga gacanta fur. So that was a funny one, man. I was like, hey yo, hey, you know. So they're making their dua like this, and I make my dua like this.
yeah.
But it was good, wallahi, because it was well balanced. It wasn't too much of one ethnicity. It was like other than Adan, but this is ما فهمت what they call it, but it was well balanced. There was no racism. I didn't feel any racism whatsoever growing up in school, which is a good thing.
But didn't it make you feel left out? Because I went to
Never.
I went to a Catholic school for year 6 when we moved from East London to Finsbury Park. It was St. Mark's. Shout out St. Mark's. In the morning you'd have assembly, so man, and they'll make
Yeah,
you sing
we have
hymns.
assembly.
They'll make you sing hymns in it. Kumbaya,
Bro,
my Lord.
memorize
This and
that
that.
Quran, bro.
And
Until
I
now, I
used
know
to think,
du'as.
well, I used to think they were kufr in it. So I was like very, very I was very sensitive to it. I thought if I sing it, I'm gonna be that's it, Christian or Catholic. And the teachers like they weren't that. You say that they were open, but I think they weren't that open. If you didn't sing along with the hymns, "Kumbaya, my Lord," and what was the other ones like? "The ink is dry" or something like
This
that. They'll
little
make you
light of
stand up.
mine, I'm
Yeah,
gonna let it shine. It's bringing back good memories. Don't you? Now
if you didn't sing
those
along,
hymns
yeah,
bang. Yeah.
if you didn't sing along, they'll make you stand up in front of
Okay,
everyone.
then that's some
Oh,
dictatorship.
why? Why? Why is that?
I don't know, but I didn't want to sing it, so I was always willing to stand up because I thought I don't want to leave my religion. I'm not going to leave my religion, bro. And you're 6 years old, you don't know how to explain it to them. And the teacher should have known, like, not everyone in the school is Catholic or Christian. You
Yeah,
shouldn't,
yeah.
shouldn't be forcing them to. So, like, I don't know about you. My experiences were hell in it, primary school, and that was just one example. But obviously now I think it's just it's not really a big deal, isn't it? But back then when you're young, when you're joining in with them, it was very difficult. Like
Yeah.
it was really difficult.
I hear that, man. Yeah, the
It's
change of
very
environment,
difficult.
everything is mad. And especially if
Yeah,
they're trying to force it down your throat. That's
they
me. It
gave me
was
a
more like
Bible,
a
bro. They gave me a Bible. We used to go to the church as well. I think I've still got that Bible
That's
somewhere.
serious.
I've still got it, yeah, from here. Like I was like, how old are you in year 6?
But 10.
11, 10, 11, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
That's
But
mad.
yeah, I still got it. But
Uh,
I thought it was a bit. I thought that was a bit too. That will never happen today. That school will get shut down.
Yeah, you can't
They will
nowadays.
shut that school down. But a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, it's mad. I remember what.
the primary schools.
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. Well, primary schools have changed a lot, and it's
They have changed a lot.
society, schools in general have changed. Back in the day, yeah, many schools would be shut down if they were operating the way they do now.
But you know what's funny? Yeah, you know what's funny? Even though, like, I thought they were more religious, they had more culture to it. I think schools back then were better than they are today. But there's a lot of social science that they teach to the kids in class. Well, we can't really go into too much detail what they are, but it's got no moral grounds. Even though back then they were a bit more conservative and religious, I think you're better off in that environment than you are today. You know, if you could just come back to primary school, yeah, my experience generally wasn't I would say not beneficial in terms of academics. And I don't know what if when when you come to the country new, you're not just learning a new language, you're also adjusting mentally, culturally. I remember I remember the first time I saw a damn person, a white person. Yeah, I used to stare a lot at white people, and it wasn't out of any malice, but I was just generally curious, and I haven't seen these people before, and I generally thought that there was something wrong with them until I was told, no, there's nothing wrong. Everyone's just different color, this and that, and I used to stare a lot. And academically, it was a real struggle. I remember when I was in year six. My writing was very poor. And the teacher, she was a real, I don't know if we can swear. Is this a family show?
It's family, bro.
It's a family show. I don't want to swear, but she was a real unhelpful.
Yeah.
And she was mean. She always used to pick on me, make me sit at the front and criticize my work, which was fine. My writing was very poor. And she goes, oh, you have the writing of a 3-year-old. She packed my things up, my books, and she made me sit in year 3 for the rest of the day.
Oh my days.
She literally packed my stuff up.
You went through hell, man.
She packed my stuff out. She goes, you need to sit with the year 3. This is where you belong for the whole day. I said, cool. I didn't even, when you're young, yeah,
That's violation.
You don't really grasp the situation or how much things are affecting you until you understand them when you're older.
Yeah.
But I remember the same. That was in year 6, so I remember a few months later, something must have happened to her. Like, she was giving me hell the whole year. She had a miscarriage, so she was off for like a couple of weeks. And when she came in, the whole class was just queuing up. She sits at the front, obviously, they're giving their condolences. She used to make me sit at the front. I never got up because I'm not hating or what happened to her. I was terrified of her because she always used to pick on me.
Yeah.
There was a bit of trauma there, so I didn't want to get out of my seat and give my condolences. But she took it as if I didn't care about what happened to her. So everyone's standing up, giving their condolences, saying, oh, sorry for your loss. And I'm just sitting there at the front. She's looking at me. She's not even looking at the students that are saying hello and giving their condolences. And it kind of made her realize what she was doing. And she stopped after that. Well, I was experiencing primary school, I think it's different if you're from a different background. Depending on what your background are, I think you will be treated differently.
Yeah.
It depends on the school as well.
Yeah.
It depends on the school. Like, what you described there is a very traumatic experience. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like that, it will definitely put you off. Like if your first experience of the whole school system is something that kind of makes you
that was degrading.
Then it's not gonna be connected. Like its value will be lost. And wallahi, in schools now I think they now emphasize on making sure no one gets felt like that, because wallahi, that has got
that was the 90s. That was the 90s. Yeah.
Is that a Catholic school?
Yeah, it was the noughties. Yeah, it was a Catholic school. I think she got a message after that when I didn't get up to give her condolences. She thought this guy has no heart or something, and she just left me alone.
Mm.
Bro,
But
what I don't
that's just
understand,
one experience of many, and I think obviously I don't always want to bring things into race, but I genuinely do think you do get treated differently depending on where you're from, especially when you're young. You get less empathy, less understanding. People have less, they'll put in a less effort with you
Mm.
as opposed to someone else.
Mm.
I don't know.
You know?
Like, I don't know if I can say I agree with that. I'm a fan,
Yeah,
only based off
that's just
my
my
experience. Because
experience.
why? Because let me like even growing up, right? Even growing up, the only racism like open in school or in institutions in school, hold on, I've never felt racism, you know, and I was literally the minority in Hanko de la primary school growing up, right? Muslim, also black. Like it was minority. I think in my whole class there were like what altogether maybe like the black people in the class. I think one, two, three, we're like a third. You could say we were a third. So it's a minority, but not a major minority. But when you add Muslim, I think I was the only black Muslim. But growing up Islam, and I get the only thing I knew about Islam was what Hoy taught me, and it's culture. So man grew up with the Somaliness. You know,
Mm.
everything was halal. Just stay away from khanzir.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So man used to eat everything, bro. It was just kind of mad. But
Yeah,
my
but
point
that's
is
not.
like racism. I never felt anything in Hanko de la that deterred me from from
Mm.
Barashat. Maybe yeah, and I don't think it's the norm as well. You know, how do you experience? I don't think that's the norm. You know, because then it'll be a mad problem, bro. We'll be hearing about it a lot more.
I think it is. I think it is a norm because, like, especially in this country, you're more likely to be told you have a learning disability or be
I think that's what
overrepresented in dyslexia or any like learning difficulty issues you might have if you're black more than any other race. So what do you think that what do you think causes?
what that hold on that you're more likely to be what dyslexic? Do you say
You're more
if you're
likely to be told. No, you may not necessarily be dyslexic. You may not necessarily have
no?
learning difficulties,
It's actually the
but you're
opposite.
more
Like
likely.
it's harder. Like people who are of color are less likely to be diagnosed correctly when they do have learning difficulties. Rather, they'll be labeled as disruptive, this, that, instead of giving them the attention that they actually deserve. You know,
Both of them exist.
that's a
Both those
common
scenarios
statistic.
exist. Yeah, both of them have been true. They've said both have been true, but I don't know. Maybe it's because in the past, like local authorities would get accused of not um, doing well academically with ethnic minorities. So in the last 10 years, they've been doing a lot more. You have to give them credit where it's due. But I think sometimes, when someone's under pressure or they be making mistakes, they tend to they overcorrect and overrepresent. So I think that might be what's happening today. The reason, how come there's so many like ethnic minorities, black kids who are being told you have a learning difficulty?
Mm.
They may just have too much energy. They just need to cool off or be taught in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
That is,
Yeah, I found it like what is it? Um, in primary school, especially that I learned, like the lessons that were being taught. I wasn't understanding it, and the reason why I wasn't understanding is because um, there was no there was no application to whatever we were learning. So I'll get bored very easily. These abstract stuff, like for example, maths. The ones I was good at is those ones about train time. If you jumped on the train at this time, what time would you get there? If you spent this much money, how much change would you have? Like I'll smash those, yeah. But
practical.
yeah, but those are practical kind of stuff where you can apply. But stuff that wasn't like applicable to me, I will get bored of straight away. But no teacher ever explained how it can be used in real life. Do you see? or how it
Yeah.
can be used in the future for a certain job to inspire you, like probably architecture, a lot of measuring and stuff, where you'll use a lot of trigonometry and what have you. They could have guessed people on that, but they didn't. So a lot I believe is you get bored of the way they teach, and not everyone learns the same way, innit?
Yeah, but there's also like I've read some research on it. It says like diagnosis someone who has learning the spectrum is so wide. Like there's so many different just because someone doesn't understand something in one way doesn't mean they have a learning difficulties. So off they don't know much about how someone has a learning difficulties, like the researchers. So they're still working on it as well. So to have so many black kids overrepresented, especially when they are the minority, it doesn't make sense. How can you have so
Mm.
many when they're the minority?
And also it's true, and also because they put you on these levels and stuff due to standardized testing.
Yeah.
And if you look at the wording of some questions sometimes, yeah, like my kids, when I see some of their exams, the wording, so they'll answer it, and then after I'll look at the question. Although they got my kid got it wrong, but the wording of the question doesn't help because they understood it differently. And I go,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand why you wrote what you wrote. Like a
Yeah.
good example of it is there was this thing going around recently of some kid. They asked him, "What is it? Put these words in alphabetical order." And so what he does is the word itself. He just makes the like each letter. He puts it in alphabetical order rather than what is it each word. Do you see? So it says
Mm.
each word put these words in alphabetical order. So he'll write, for example, if it was flame, he'll write A first, and then he'll write the next letter, the next letter, the next letter. See how he understood it?
Mhm.
Rather than putting flame and then putting barbecue first because it starts with a B, then flame, and then what is it? Zebra meat or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
So I guess yeah.
it's the framing
It,
of the question that's the issue.
I did well. Then that's that. So with that, that's where the teaching comes in, right? That's where the teacher has to guide. Say, well done. You actually didn't get it wrong, but you didn't get it right.
Y-
They put it in alphabetical order, but you need that. You need that man call it um that guidance. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
honestly, wallahi, teachers, bro. I think me, wallahi, I went into Jama'at, right? Wanting to become a teacher. Like that was literally my. I really want to be like. I reckon I'll be a freaking sick teacher, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But as soon as I looked at the salary, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I can't sustain my family like this right now, you know. So that was a bit of a hit. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how. Listen, teachers they need to get paid a lot more, like,
That-
and the quality of teaching will increase when the teachers feel valued and they have to be compensated for their time, because honestly, they're in. Imagine this, right? Your kid, like a solid chunk of their life is spent in school or being taught by teachers. If this teacher is overworked, underpaid, undervalued, the quality of the education takes a hit. You know,
mm,
they're not
fact.
going to they're not going to get the most out of the school system by someone who just graduated, probably banging out a good 3 years of this thing just for the experience, and realize and says to themselves, oh well, there isn't a career for this. I don't love it that much. I'm just gonna stay for a little bit. You want the teacher to know that they're valued, like a big part of society, right? I literally you have to put teachers there with the doctors, with the engineers, with the lawyers, with the big shots, my fan, because they are literally the gateway to the future, right? So
Mm,
if a kid's education takes a hit,
yeah,
right, there's no future, right?
facts,
There is no
facts,
future. That kid has no future. So,
facts.
yani,
That's what I always say. Like you pay peanuts, you get monkeys in it. So if the
absolutely.
te- if like it shows society what they value in it, If the teachers are not valued, like if the teachers are getting paid peanuts, that means we're attracting monkeys to be teachers, right? These people that are
But
just
the
like
thing
using,
is, the teachers nowadays are very, very qualified, like more qualified than the teachers back in the day. Like
but they
literally,
don't
had
thrive.
right now it's it's like, for example, you have to have your GCSEs. So to be a secondary school teacher, you have to have a degree, and you have to go through all of this training. Even after you do your degree, you got to do like PGCE, which is another year, like a master's kind of thing. So all these steps are there, and the quality of teachers hasn't gone down, but the bureaucracy has gone up. Do you understand? All of these things that are tying, I guess, the time that would have went into the teachers finding their way in being good creative teacher is lost in forms and all of this and all of this
Mm,
stuff. But to be honest, sometimes structure is very important, right? All that planning is very important, but I don't know, man. And the measures they have in place to see whether the school's doing well. Ofsted, bro, that's shambles, bro. Ofsted is shambolic. It is literally like the whole year the school will be doing shit. All of a sudden they hear Ofsted's coming. Everyone's like,
yeah,
some
yeah,
teachers do
tidy
some
up.
bullshit. What they do? They start writing the answers in the kid's school, the child's school book, and it's shambolic, bro. So I don't know. And the truth, the fact of the matter is, if you rely solely on the school system, yeah, your kid is missing out on a lot of education. The school system alone isn't enough,
Mm,
unfortunately. Unless they're going to some really, really good school. But even then, it's not enough. Most education happens at home. You know, most
yeah.
education is happens at home,
Mm,
and it's it school supplement, or you are meant to supplement whatever the kid learns at school, and laying it off to freaking the school or this software or this or that ain't gonna help your child,
yeah.
unfortunately. It has to be like is it an investment. Anaga, we came to this country, right? We came to this country running away from civil war. All right,
Yeah.
our parents, yeah, they had the luxury of growing up in a lovely, in a stable society until the civil war kicked off, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, all of that trauma and all of that madness came here. So they put all their eggs in the basket with their kids. So they're like, "Oh, go lad, go this," right? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
know the value of education, right? They know how valuable education is, right?
Mm,
So the child now, he'll go to the school. So okay, I'm going off on a tangent, right? I'm going off on a
yeah.
tangent on a little bit. You'll see you'll see people who their parents are doing the most, making dua for them, sending their kids to school, relying on school, taking them tuition, and all of a sudden, Unuga just decides to become a Suq,
Yeah.
doesn't know the value of shop, doesn't know, um, how, يعني مسؤولية, how do you say it? The responsibility they hold,
Yeah.
and the expectations their parents have of them, raise them all that time, and all of a sudden, this kid has just become Asi Walidain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then all of these opportunities, bro. Wallahi, like what we have here, bro, is a freaking gold mine. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
literally a freaking gold mine. If we take full advantage of it, wallahi, it's a freaking gold mine. Like, no one can chat shit about that. Like, people literally dying in Badda to come here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I go, we're very, we do send them to Alhamdulillah, sit high and mighty in our luxury, but wallahi, we have to give credit where it's due. And of course, there's rotten eggs in society, but generally, wallahi, I would not complain about the system here, man. You know, it's if we're comparing it to back home, wallahi, I can't. وهبيني مالك, you know. You
Yeah,
trying to
but
tell
you're not.
me after right now هذا
Yeah,
كله okay جامعات Somalia, okay
yeah, but
Somalia banging
the
man.
issue is that you're comparing it to a third world country, but you're supposed to compare your experience to those that's supposed to be your peers. So uh
وهيد
the
like
majority of the people is white people. So if white people are not facing what you're facing, you have to ask yourself why.
what is it that we're
I'll
facing
give
that
you.
they're not facing?
I'll give you an example. Yeah. Let's move on to secondary school. So we'll move on to secondary school with this. I was reading a Carla's book. I can't remember the title of it.
Native
The native, yeah, that's the one. The native, the blue one.
yeah.
And he said. I remember he said that he was really good at maths, but he was in the learning difficulties class when it came to maths. Yeah, but he was really really good.
Yeah.
Um, and then he used to go Saturday school. Like most black kids, Somali kids who go like that supplementary school on the weekends, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And in that class, people that look like him, he was excellent. He was like number one, top of his class, yeah, in
Mm.
maths. And it was by total coincidence, yeah, or the qadr, that one day his teacher in that Saturday school came, like, was visiting the school, the primary school he was in, and he saw him inside the special needs class, and then he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "They said that I need to be here, innit?" And he's a kid, he doesn't know, innit? Like, he just do whatever the teachers tell him.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, he's like, "What are you talking about? You're like top of the maths in our thing, and you're here, like, while the others are learning proper maths." Then he went straight to that teacher went straight to his mum, innit, uh, and said, "Your son is in the special needs class for maths when he's smashing it with us." She got angry. His mum is white, by the way, so she got angry in it and went to the teachers. Say, "Why is my son here, fam?" And they couldn't give her a straight answer, in it. It's just he, they couldn't handle. The teacher couldn't handle his inquisitive
Questions.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
question.
What a shit teacher, bro.
So she used to think that
What a
this
shit
guy's
teacher.
undermining her, innit?
Mad.
So she used to say, "Listen, you smarty guy, you think you're smart, yeah?" And she
Mad.
put him in that class. So now fast forward, like in my circumstance here, I used to go. They used to send me to that same freaking class in secondary school, innit? And I never knew why. I never ever knew why. Nobody explained to me, like, "You're here." I used to get taken out of class and go there, and literally, what is it? We're playing cards there. We're just playing games. We're not even learning anything. And I used to think, what the hell? Like, there's no one like that special. It's supposed to allow you to catch up with the
Yeah.
people in your class, in it, but they don't.
Yeah.
They
Wallah.
just use it as an opportunity to just get rid of you. Like,
Okay.
and I'll tell you this now. Not one white kid was in that class. It
My
was
days.
it was all black or mixed race kids that was in that class.
Yeah.
So
Wallahi. That
so
shit makes my blood boil, bro. Wallahi.
and that's why it's also good to have like an open dialogue with your kids, so that way you'll always be in the loop, in it. So that some of these
Yeah.
things that are happening
Yeah.
doesn't
And
happen.
let me tell you one thing. Yeah, and one thing that's really important is that awareness, right? If you're not on top of your kid, and one of the important things that you got to do is you got to talk to your kids, man. You know, you got to talk to them. You got to chat to them. Say, how was your school? How was your day? How was, you know, if you build that relationship with them, then they will literally tell you everything, and you can pick up on these kind of things and what's going on, and not just
Do
to
you think?
kids, also
Do you
talk
think
to
that's something?
teachers.
Bro, I'll tell you, hold on, I'll tell you
Let me
something
ask
that
you. Let
happened.
me ask you a question.
Well, before you ask that question, let me just tell you quickly. what recently my niece that goes to UCL Academy, yeah, one of the teachers said to her, and then they were like doing that, like, what do you want to be when you eventually when you finish uni or what have you. So she said she wants to be a doctor. And guess what? My man had the audacity to say to her.
What?
He said to her, "Listen, I'll tell you now. Don't bother doing that. Um, become a bus driver. It's much easier on you."
Fuck off, bro. He did say
Wow.
that, bro. Get the hell out of here. Say
Wallahi,
wallahi.
Wallahi, he said that, and she told me he said that. I switched
believe
now.
that.
I called up my sister. Said, "Bro, you need to like call in the school and have this bear removed." How's he like? What is it? Putting little kids down?
I believe that. You know why? When I was,
That guy,
do you
bro.
remember?
I'm not even lying.
Do you remember careers day at school? Well,
Mm.
like in year 9, so we'll get a career advisor to come in. You speak to them one-on-one. So I think this guy was a banker or a lawyer. He certainly looked the part. He was very sharp, and he bought out his expensive notepad. You know them notepads with a covering and casing.
Mm.
So his job is supposed to ask kids what they want and advise them on a path, or he's basically advise them about future careers that they might want to pursue. And he asked me what I wanted to do. I said, I don't know. I'm in year 9. He closes his notepad and says, "Okay, thank you for coming." That was it. That's the whole career advisor there for the whole school.
Look at that.
Things like that, bro.
Oh, dude,
You
wait,
get
but back in the
treated
day,
differently.
the whole career advice thing was shit, Horta. That is
Yeah.
a fact. Yeah, it was non-existent. I remember when Connections. Remember Connections?